So this is a very experimental thing we've got going here. Cooked up actually in an Uber on the way into San Francisco a few days ago. We've got 8 people on a panel, a lot of people, and so we thought, why not have team human, or no, team AI on the left and team human on the right.
I'm team human.
Here's team human. Yeah, you're on team. So what are you doing in team AI? So the first.
Everybody wants to.
It's the end of like quite a structured day. You've had a lot of information today, right? I've seen a number of you. I'm taking this as a great compliment. Said to me earlier today, I have work to do. I will be working, and I've been looking around, and none of you have been working. You have been taking photographs, making notes. This is very, very good. The structure is done. We're now in a land of chaos, the messy middle, because we have a semi-plan for this. Here is team human, and here is team AI. So speakers, decide which team you want to be on, and move, unless you decide you're in the right place.
Do I take my chair?
We'll see. All right, okay. So then your next question should be, what does it mean to be on team human? So we have a list of questions which may or...
You want to sit.
Team chair.
Yeah, right, okay.
Team chair.
Team chair. So you're on team chair. You could take your chair with you.
Oh, it's okay. Humans are outweighing.
All right. Okay. Cool. We have got a list of questions, but that doesn't mean we're going to ask them. I would like to ask a first question, which is, I'm going to start with team human on this side, or maybe I'll change my mind because we started with AI this morning. Could each of you tell me on this side why you've chosen team AI?
So much space.
Yeah. We'll start down your side. I mean, you've
The
got a tricky one.
opportunities are endless with AI. Team AI, because of the potential. Clearly, I want to be team human. Yeah, I think the potential for positive change.
I was going to say the chair, but yeah, I think the augmentation pieces, I guess, is, what we're seeing the opportunity in, not to replace, but to take away the pieces that feel, redundant and messy, and you don't really want to do all of that. And really start to focus on the stuff that we really like doing, the strategic pieces, and yes, pass it on.
I would like to be on team messy middle.
Yes.
Thank you. That is, I think, my team. But I'm sitting over here on team AI because I kind of love the empowerment, and like being a builder feels really good, even though I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. It's fun. And I'm really enjoying being a researcher, but being able to build cool stuff to help researchers and help other people, bringing that together. The then of that for me is just super satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm technically on this side as well. So I think, for me, something I noticed even this year compared to last year, being at some of these different conferences and events and in San Francisco in general, last year, especially in the research world, there felt like a lot more doom and gloom when it came to the AI conversation. And I think it was this feeling of an impending storm, something is coming and it's not great. And sure, there's been some things that are not great. But by and large, the initial wave seems to have come, and we are now in it. We're in the storm. And so for better or worse, you can either enjoy running around in the rain and skip around because it's kind of the only option, and it feels like people have really started to embrace that a lot more this year and accept the fact that it is here, and it's now our opportunity to learn and harness it and figure out how to make it serve us and not the other way around. So I think that's been an exciting part about this year so far.
I'm not on this mic though. I'm in the messy middle too, Michelle. I actually am going to take the cop out and sit on the fence and say that I think that both the humans and the machines have something to offer. I think the problem comes when, if we go to Alison, you're on the end there, your talk about binary, I think that that is so true, because there is a place where the messy middle becomes not so messy. I foresee in the next year that we are going to be having, maybe we're even back here, who knows, but the conversation is much more around how we work with AI, and it's not a case of like to AI or not to AI. And we get to a point of not quite the singularity, but a kind of singularity where we're no longer having a conversation about humans and AI, which is an agenda that I set up. But the conversation is just about how we get work done and how we create efficiency and quality at the same time. So I reckon that we will end up having the same conversations that we were having 5 years ago in a year's time, and that we will not be yawning at them because they will be as fresh as ever.
I agree. I think I'm also not completely team human. I'm on the fence about it. I feel like there is a need for human and AI, and there's a need to understand where humans work best and where AI works best, and then trying to integrate both of them together, especially in a space like research operations, which currently feels very chaotic. Like, I don't know the direction, how to take the AI tools and put it in research operations. We're all trying to figure that out. But there's a need to have that AI and human together. So totally on the fence.
Yes, I actually am on Team Cyborg. I love that part of your talk. It actually reminded me of Amber Case has this term called calm technology, and it's all about thinking about the technology in our lives and how do we make it like maybe not subservient to humans, but it's not interrupting us, or it's not kind of getting in the way or trying to force us to do something. Like, as she was giving this talk, my watch beeped, and she was like, kind of like that. It's like that's getting in the way of things. She was very polite about it. There's a sense of like technology, whether or not we're talking about AI or we're talking about any other technology, it's a part of how humans use it, and I think that's what makes it like that kind of alchemy of AI and human together is where the actual magic happens. I think the most innovative technology still to date to me is like the chalkboard. Like, we're no longer doing our little rock carving. So like yeah, AI is magical, but like there's going to be even more magical things soon. We'll see.
I feel like I'm joining the train here. It is. I also think, though I am team human, it's both. If you like, we'll go super simple. Like, think about a hammer, right? That's another tool. And if I want to drive a nail into a piece of wood, I can try and do it with my hand. I'm going to hurt my hand. I can drop the hammer from 3 feet up in the air, and it might move the nail a little bit. But the real power comes when I'm swinging the hammer, when I'm utilizing the extra leverage it gives me and the weight that it gives me. And when the two of us are working together, that's how I drive the nail into the board. AI is another tool. And now that we've kind of learned, I think, for the most part, that it cannot completely automate everything that we do. But when we work together with it, just like the studies have shown that doctors who use AI are better at finding cancer and all these other things, like, we will be more powerful with it and working together rather than working without it or having it try to replace us.
So I feel like it would be a bit of a cop-out for me if I just dedicated an entire talk to saying that the messy middle's great, binaries are bad, then be like, team human. However, I think that I felt the need to sit on this side because I have so much empathy, having done a version of this talk at my org, and just seeing, like, somebody earlier today said that the power of the last talk we listened to is feeling seen, and like how powerful that was. And like, we are not machines, we are messy meat bags with things like feelings and wants and hopes and dreams and aspirations. And I think a lot of the conversations surrounding this very powerful tool are frankly very scary and bring up a lot of strong emotions. And so I think for me, the reason I want to be team human for the purposes of this talk, is to be able to speak to that angle and to see this as something that like we still have agency in. We are not machines. We are not just following the pre-programmed objectives. We have agency in determining what those contexts, rules, and objectives are in service of. So for the next however long, I am Team Human.
Your Team Allison?
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. All right. Well, for this first question, I know one of the favorite responses to almost any question a researcher or research ops person would ask is, it depends. But you're not allowed because you each picked a side. And just for a short moment, try and, not answer it depends if possible. So the question is, what is one thing that should never be fully automated in research or research ops, and why? Even if it's slower.
Who wants to answer?
I have a take on this. Yeah. So I think one of the most powerful professional development courses I took was actually from a clinical psychologist, and about the concept of being trauma-informed and what that means in research. Because at the time, my last job before I went to Mozilla, I was working at a startup, and I was working with a very vulnerable population of folks, like folks that like the research incentive that I was paying them could make or break, whether or not they had the money to make rent that week. And the stakes were very high, and I was used to just talking to workers like myself, white-collar workers, where this was just like you have an interview, you make a couple bucks, you maybe go blow it on something at the mall. And I think that me just understanding, like, we are not mental health professionals, that is not what we are trained to do or what we should be doing, but being trauma-informed requires that conscious intention. Like that, being trauma informed is not something that you can set a set of rules on and press play and go. And I think that even if you are not necessarily working with a vulnerable population, you still have an obligation to the folks that you are working with, like to do no harm. And so I firmly believe that that is not something that we can just context or skill our way out of.
Can I hop in with there's actually a really good follow-up question to that, which would be open to anyone to put your hand up for. And it's when AI is in the workflow, who is accountable for harm or error? So you've just spoken about harm, right?
Yep.
Who is accountable for harm or error, or even an excellent outcome? Who takes the credit of that? Is it the builder? Is it the workflow owner, or the decision maker, the AI? So
it's always the human. AI is not conscious.
Which human?
The human that is holding the hammer at the end of the day. That hammer does not have consciousness. If that hammer falls on your toe, it wasn't trying to mess up your day. But if you were distracted and you dropped said hammer, like that's on you. And so I think the person that is holding the hammer is ultimately responsible for the harm. If we are going to take the upside of AI, like we also have to own the potential repercussions and not be like, well, it just went into a black box, I didn't know. I don't think that's an acceptable answer. So that would be my hot take.
I'll challenge you to say, what if the hammer was manufactured incorrectly?
Then why were you using the hammer?
What if you don't know enough about hammers? You go to the store, you buy a hammer off the shelf, and then suddenly my wife works as a real researcher, I like to say, and she does expert reports on when people use things and they've broken, like the vacuum eats your hand or something like that. Like, is that really user error if the vacuum eats your hand? Were you using it incorrectly, or is the vacuum made incorrectly? So I think in the research ops world, we have this build versus buy. There's a lot of things you just get off the shelf and you expect that it works well, but everything comes with this disclaimer of we could just be wrong. How is that helpful? Check it yourself. Well, then why am I paying you to give it to me? If I have to do it again. So I think there's still that gray area of yes, as users of the hammer, we should probably not smash our heads in with it, but were the instructions written very well? Was it made well? I don't know.
I think there's a difference between smashing your fingers versus taking the hammer and bashing someone else's. That would be like my one take.
So we hear from Team AI.
You were asking, I think, a little bit about who gets the credit, the builders or
Yeah.
the research operations team, and I think it's the same answer we would give to any research operations process or flow, which is that we influence it, and so we play a role in it, but the builders also play a large role in whatever the outcome of the thing was, and so we share it. I don't think you give it to one or the other at the end of the day.
So that's to say you also share the responsibility of no
Yeah.
harm.
Yeah, and you share the responsibility of giving good instructions to how to use the hammer and building it in a way that, is constructed well, and then making sure that it goes out into the world and gets used with purpose.
Yeah, and maybe to bring this analogy home a little bit more. I'm curious
You're
if
responsible.
The vendor is responsible.
yes, we are responsible for everything. No, I would love to hear maybe from one of you specific examples, stories of how this actually manifests in your day-to-day when something you have built or something someone else has built internally maybe didn't lead to a great outcome, and how did you handle that situation, or the opposite?
Yeah, I guess I kind of do. So I talked about the coach not being able to score a particular interview type. What I didn't tell you is that some people said, I'm getting too many of these Slack DMs. Like, can you just stop? And it was like, well, yes, because, the system we built, obviously, I can put a stopgap in here, but also, do you want to stop because you don't like the feedback that you're getting? And the UXR team is, we constantly have these debates about how accountable is the UXR team for democratized research quality. And that is a very live debate in our organization, where we have, days where we're told, your job is to make everybody good at research. And yeah, that is our job, and we are trying to do that, but we also need people to meet us halfway and want to try and get better at research. And that doesn't always work. So in this case with the coach, I had to build in a feature that put in a pause. If somebody requested, I don't want coaching for this particular period, I have a feature where, we built in a pause for that. But I don't allow people to completely opt out. I've sort of locked down the system so that's just the research team who can sort of take people in and out of it. I also reserve the option to add managers to feedback. So we do that for the design team because we wanted all the design managers to know how their teams are performing with research. We did that because it's our team, and our team, wanted us to be doing tools like that. But on my more nefarious days, I think, if you want us to be accountable, fine. All right, product people, our CPO is going to start, getting quarterly report cards for each of you, and how you're doing with your coaching. So I reserve the right to do that, but I think it is our job. It's kind of why we're there, right?
I have one example. So last year we were kind of using ClickUp to track what Research Ops is doing, what researchers are doing, and then suddenly Research Ops decided to build their own tool internally. And so we did. We took a few months, worked with Tech Ops, built our own system where we were logging in what researchers are doing and Research Ops is doing, just to kind of get a sense of understanding of where the R's are going. While it was all great for Research Ops, but the researchers kind of started saying that they do not want to log in the work and efforts that they're doing. So we spent months building this tool, and then one day they all decided not to use it anymore. And it kind of, the blame or the onus came on Research Ops because we were the ones who kind of wanted that tool. We wanted to audit the researchers' time and our own time, and they just abandoned it. So, yeah.
So on the topic of harm and responsibility, just as a note, with Rally and me, the Research Ops Review, we are creating a map that will be published, I think it's in September, which is on research ethics and privacy in the age of AI. And so tomorrow I will actually be running a 2-hour working session here. I think it's too late if you didn't register, but maybe you'll be welcome still. We can ask Sydney. Hint, hint. And we're going to gather to map out together what are we worried about? What should we be worried about? I'm going to run a virtual session with Europe and Australia as well and gather information from them. They are very, very keen on this topic, that side of the world. And there will be a map. So if you are building AI systems and you start to think around September time, what should I be thinking about here in terms of our participants at least? Here we're talking a lot about internal harm, but Alison, your point was about external harm. There should be a well-informed map available for you to use. So just as a note. PSA over. So I've got a question, which is, what do you think is the most underrated human skill in research ops that will matter more, not less, in an AI-heavy world? We've had hints at that today in the afternoon, especially with puzzle making, with sticking to thinking for yourself and working with the people to help build quality, with selling the quiet work that is going to indefinitely happen behind the scenes. And I'm going to steal the stage for a moment more, because one of the biggest themes that I'm hearing at the moment with the amazing things that are being built on Team AI side is that there is a lot of behind the scenes work that now needs to happen to keep all these tools running. This was mentioned earlier, and a lot of you nodded just as you're nodding now, and that there is a kind of AI brain fry and a very interesting irony for ops folk, because the complaints that I'm getting is like, I have to work with all these teams and budgets and procurement, and I've got to maintain this tool, and I'm thinking, yes, that's what ops has been doing for a very long time. So there are still going to be human skills required. I guess I'm stealing the answer here, but what I'd love to do is, I'm going to read the question one more time because I've segued. What do you think is the most underrated human skill in research ops that will matter more, not less, in an AI-heavy world?
This is going to be almost a cop-out answer, but smiling. When you walk into, I'm sure everybody here has thoughts about the values of Chick-fil-A, right? But if you walk into Chick-fil-A, you don't walk in and see the order console where you're punching in your order. Somebody looks you in the eye, they smile, and they say, "Welcome to Chick-fil-A." That kind of human connection is what is going to be the critical part, because there is no AI that can smile yet. And even when it does, it's uncanny valley and it's creepy. So those are the parts of the job that doesn't matter how good AI gets, it doesn't matter how good AI gets. That's going to be what a human needs to do, is create human connection, smile, acknowledge the other person's presence, and create real rapport.
We've got a Hugh and then right at the end. You go first.
Building on that, it's similarly kind of a cop-out, but I think we're really good at saying, we have empathy for our clients, our customers, our members, but I also think we need to point empathy inside to our collaborators and ourselves. And if you come up with this challenge, or the stakeholders don't want to do this or don't want to do that, how can you understand why? And you were talking through how you actually did those, but that was a really good example of you had empathy for them, and why would they not want to help me? Because what I'm trying to do might be hurting them, and how do I understand we're all in this together. It's not just research versus X or research versus that. We're all trying to move in the same direction. Maybe some people are not. But how can you try to understand where they're trying to go and use your research skills and point them elsewhere?
I think one maybe a little bit more practical application of that comes to mind is just risk judgment. And we saw it when we implemented a insights, third-party vendor insights repository. And research leadership had a decision. It's literally just a toggle. Do you want to, as we loaded all of our insights in, do you only want your final output report to be visible to anyone at the company? So we're giving access to anyone at the company to be able to pull research and insights. Or do you want to show them the additional data behind the decision? And we were a little bit torn, but we made the decision to open it up and show the raw data. Yeah, I know. I see some of your faces. Yeah. You did what? Yeah. And the thought there from some of the people involved in this decision was, I trust my stakeholders. I want to start this journey off with trust and openness, and that is 100% like a very valuable thing to do. Especially because they're like, when I'm just sharing insights, I have no problem sharing the raw data, and I have no problem. And then it took us about 4 weeks or so, and researchers were like, what's happening here, right? Because I'm seeing this now, they're using it in this way, and I see this quoted this way, and that's not what that meant. And it took the judgment of the researcher to know what good wasn't. And then they came to us, and it took us as research leadership to make a it did not, 30 seconds. Y'all in agreement? We turn this thing off? Cool, let's turn it off. Great. Nobody needs anything more than the final insight in this use case. So we turned it off. I don't know that AI alone would have gotten us there. We have options and we have controls, and we still need to apply our judgment to prevent risk from happening.
Yeah, so I am an IC, so I don't work in research ops, but I think that this answer still has applicability to anyone in this room, and I think that the hugely underrated skill is storytelling. You mentioned the uncanny valley, and I'm sure that all of us have read a piece of content online and we're like, damn, this is AI. And then we've also probably read a piece of content online and we're like, this is amazing, and it was still assisted by AI. The thing that makes content or a story dead behind the eyes is, I think, when we lean into automation, when again we need to be leaning into augmentation, because right, researchers are trying to tell stories to convey insights, et cetera, but in research ops, as we've talked about, we are still dealing with people at the end of the day. We need to influence, we need to inform, we need to convey something, we need to build alliances and coalitions. And the most effective way, I come from a market research background. Before that, I worked at a think tank dealing with climate change. And I wanted to scream at people, we're gonna be swimming in our streets. Do you not understand that we can't keep going this way? And the fact is that facts and reason don't necessarily change people's mind, because we're not these reasonable, rational automatons. And so I think, again, storytelling is going to be a skill that future-proofs you, and is going to become invaluable. I think right now it's something that we take for granted, and it's an incredibly important skill.
I think I want to just add to what Ramona said. She said about judgment, and that was kind of what I also wanted to speak about. I feel that is one of the most underrated skill, knowing when to pause and have a judgment as a human. AI can help you be you can go to AI and tell them what you want to do. Of course, they can help you come up with ideas, but it is you who's kind of bringing in the judgment and strategy on how to actually move ahead with things. So I think bringing in those strategic work and the judgment is one of the most underrated skills that research ops can get into. I think everything that we do operationally can be automated by AI, but what you decide to do strategically cannot be.
Yeah, I love that question because it can be so tempting to offload the hard work. But that's the biggest trap with AI as well, and it's something we talk a lot about internally. Especially this year, everyone is being pushed internally, externally, from every direction to use AI more and to find more and more applications for it. And one of the values that we've tried to drive internally is don't outsource the thinking, don't outsource the hard work, because if we believe that AI can do the hard work and the thinking, then what's left for us? And we need that to be satisfied in the day-to-day. We need that. People were talking about friction before. It's such a core part of being human, and I think it's one of the things that's going to continue to emerge more and more over the years with AI, is that this is not even close to a replacement for a human. It's really just a helpful thing for us. And once all the craziness dies down, it's going to be, to Kate's point, we're going to be back here next year. And maybe we're not even going to be talking about it in the same way. It's just going to be a tool that fades into the background that's just weaved into everyone's day-to-day workflow. And it's not going to be this whole big thing anymore. Maybe not. Who knows?
We'll see.
We'll see.
I have a point to add. I've been doing quite a lot of research on AI and UX art recently, and the best stories that I've come across have interestingly been not people who've built amazing, Michelle, you're in this camp, don't worry, not people who have built sort of amazing applications just for themselves, and it's just on their local, and it's what I call I, me, mine AI. Just me, it's like a narcissistic type of AI. Very useful, but it's only for me. That I think actually won't last, particularly when tokens become payable, because now you're doing your salary plus the cost of tokens, and you better be outputting a whole lot more than you were before. For me, the skills, we're talking about the skills that are going to be most valuable. The most powerful applications I've seen are people who have not worked in a silo, because you can build in a silo with AI. It doesn't mean you should. They've gone out and they've made friends with developers, with the entire development team, and analysts, and you name it, across the organization. Content strategy, and figured out like, how do we build your content strategy into an agent so that my researchers can build like beautifully branded prototypes with beautiful content instantly. So the people that have done the most with AI in the last year have been the people who have not worked in a silo. They've made connections and they've built wide. So I think that that's one of the skills that's going to hold, is if you are able to build networks, create connections, and collaborate more than ever before, I think you'll have a really incredible time.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, the next question here, and we can start with someone from either side. What is the fastest way AI can destroy trust in a research system, even if the output looks good? What would you, or what are you doing to fix that?
Romana.
Yeah, very real for me, because it just happened this week. I think I mentioned it earlier, but the platform's analysis didn't match the report, and like, it feels so basic, so simple. It's like, before, in the world of building tools and implementation, that's a basic QA check, right? You wouldn't even go to production with a tool where the export doesn't match what's actually happening in the platform. And what we're doing about it is, and again, the value of evals, right? This is why we do these things, is evaluate these tools, is it's going right back to the vendor. And we're saying, our baseline research against the research that you ran, great. You guys knocked it out of the park there. But it does me zero good. And I've now lost trust in the output because the final thing that's actually going to go to the end users broke. So yeah, it definitely opened our eyes and kind of changed just that there's an extra layer of evaluation we need, where it looks so pretty and good and it's going to be so powerful, but you just have to lift it up a little bit and look behind the scenes, and it broke. So
so one of the things, actually this happened a couple of weeks ago, our research repository has an AI tool that can help with analysis, and for the most part it's pretty great, except when it doesn't know what it doesn't know. It infers context. It guesses at abbreviations that it doesn't know. And for me, as a researcher and running the democratization program, I look at that and I go, that's cool, it's really close, I can fix this. I can get it the rest of the way. But a stakeholder looks at that, a PM looks at that, and they go, well, this tool's worthless, and they move on. And they either don't do the research next time, or they throw their hands up in the air, and it's like, oh, I gotta spend 10 hours doing analysis. So I think that's one of the biggest threats that I face with trust in AI, is getting it to stop guessing when it doesn't know the context of things, and stop guessing and inferring context. One of you will.
Okay.
Come, Marissa.
This is like very un-Canadian of me to like cede in the politeness contest.
I
I
will win every game.
So people hate losses way more than they love gains, and so it is really hard to establish trust and really easy to lose it. And I think one of the fastest ways to lose trust is when our stakeholders do the thing that researchers are just wishing, hoping, and praying that they're going to do, is like in product briefs, in decisions, they are referencing and citing our research. Maybe they're even, reading it out at an all hands and everyone's getting really excited, and then somebody in Slack goes, well, actually, and now you have just humiliated somebody because they trusted you. And I think that is one of the fastest ways that I've seen us lose trust in these tools, is because it made somebody look really bad. And now we've got to go into damage control, and people are rightfully going to be upset and pissed. And that is like the surefire way to make it so that people don't want to use these tools or come to us.
I'm actually more worried about the opposite, where there's too much trust and there's no safeguards of, well, the right people are actually not seeing those outputs. I've been hearing this sense of like, oh, there's a inverse relationship between your ability to ascertain if the output is good or not with your expertise in that domain. And so if we put all of the research AI into hands of people that have no interest or background or experience in research, then how are they're just going to trust it, even if it says like, oh yeah, check the outputs, like against what? Like there's no additional scaffold of like actually checking the outputs for people. And so it's like, yeah, like my fear is we live in a world where researchers all go away, and the outputs of research are just kind of gobbledygook, and nobody can tell, and we just kind of make random decisions, and nobody knows the difference because the world is messy anyway. So did it even matter to do the research? I'm being a little bit goofy here, but like that's the trust fear that I have more than anything else.
I like to add, the part where she said that making someone else look bad, in most cases it is research operations, because we're trying to automate everything and anything. And for example, last month, our team was trying to push Slackbot to us, saying everything should be automated on Slackbot, try to integrate all the CRM that we have at Salesforce. Salesforce owns Slack, so we wanted to kind of have it both ways, to integrate the CRM and then use Slackbot for it. So I usually send out manual emails for a specific invite to senior execs. And this time I was like, let's just use Slackbot. I don't have to send 20 emails. And Slackbot has this thing called skills, and I built a skill which send out 20 emails to specific users with different people in CC. Everything was great until Slackbot started hallucinating and sent it like 5 times, and I had account executives reaching out. What is happening? Are you spamming our customers? And I'm like, oh no. And now no one wants to use Slackbot. I actually posted on my team group saying, oh, I built this skill. You guys should use it. And then I was like, never mind, don't use it. So yeah, losing trust.
Luckily, it's your tool, so.
The blame is always on us.
I think we're going to need in like over the next year to do like a series on these like AI disasters. And someone, Daniel Gottlieb, I know he won't mind me naming him, from Microsoft Core AI. He's the head of research ops. And I almost convinced him to come here today, but he had an on-site. Like so many people had an on-site at the moment. And he was saying to me, he feels like AI on LinkedIn is a little bit like Instagram holidays, where it's like, look at me on the beach, and then behind the scenes, like everyone's going crazy, and the kids have got ice cream all over their faces, and he says like LinkedIn's like, look at my AI thing I made, and then behind the scenes, when you get in touch, they're like, that broke last week. So we were saying we should do a series on like the real stories of, not like the Real Housewives of, like the real AI of the tech world.
Blooper reel.
Yeah, blooper reel would be great.
Should be a nice Netflix miniseries.
So this is our final question we have got for today. The final thing for today, actually. Well done, everybody. You've gotten through a lot of content. This is it. So, what are you most excited about when it comes to AI and humans collaborating to enable research?
You're coming together.
Yeah.
You have something? We just made some big team changes last week and actually brought a couple researchers onto our research operations team. And I'm super excited about how that's going to come together to help us build better internal tools, programs, systems, with all of the like researcher mindset that we've preached for so many years, and put that back into what we're doing internally. It feels like actually quite an exciting time to be building and pushing these things out and kind of bridging into new territory as a research operations team.
I'm excited about some of the systems that we're building for self-service research and intake, because I'm going to be real sneaky. If you know me, I'm often trying to be quite sneaky about how I build these systems. But I'm excited about being able to build a good enough front door and these self-serve systems that actually we get more people who are going to wind up approaching the research team to have the research team leading certain kinds of research for them. I think it's just going to be about like getting them to start adopting the tools, getting them in the front door, and then being able to take some bigger questions that they probably wouldn't have come to the research team with, actually, and they should, and being able to sort of use AI as the carrot to get them in the front door, but then being actually able to like take on meatier kinds of research that we can actually, as UXRs, run for them.
Yeah. So you mentioned being able to take on more, and I think personally that's what I am the most excited about, is the ability to say yes more often. I feel like for the past 18, maybe to 24 months, a lot of researchers, and I'm sure research op folks, have been like the cat on the screen door that's like, you will pry this out of like my cold, dead hands. No, 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 you can't take this from me. And I think what's really exciting is with the tooling that we're seeing, the advances of how fast we're moving. Like I gave a talk in February about my tool stack, and now that talk would look completely different today. And what that's gonna let me do is say yes to more. And I think yes implies possibility. It is expansive as opposed to constrictive. And as a function, like we have been through the ringer, like for a while, like we deserve a little treat. And that's what I am most excited about, is the ability to say yes to more.
Yeah.
What I'm most excited about is being able to focus on the things that only a human can do. You said storytelling, like that's a perfect example. I get to spend more time being a good storyteller. Your whole talk, like making research ops visible, like being able to create those relationships cross-functionally, being able to focus more time on those kinds of things and take stuff like analysis, writing discussion guides, reviewing screeners off my plate entirely. That's what I'm excited about.
I'm all
He's just excited about making puzzles.
I think I echo what both of them said. I am excited about outsourcing my work to AI a little bit, especially the manual work, the operational work that I don't like doing anyway. And then focus more on the strategic work, more process improvements, taking decisions, and not really just putting my time into sending calendar invites and creating screeners. And also, secondly, I feel like with AI, I feel I have a thought partner. A lot of times I want ideas, and when I don't have my team members around me, I just go to AI and say what I want to build or what I'm thinking about, and having a thought partner. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I think the thing that everyone's saying that resonates with me, and the word I'm going to steal from Aaron at Outset that was a real pivot for me in thinking about AI. I was thinking of the sense of abundance. That yes, in some ways it's more, but it's just this mindset of like, I don't want to do necessarily more of the same thing. I don't want to be more quote unquote productive. I want to make more impact. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. And if you have this kind of abundance mindset, like you can find ways of like, oh, we could do a podcast. Like we could do this. Like let's make a website deliverable. There's so many things that you can do now that you're like, okay, like if I have every tool in the toolbox that's like slightly more accessible because of AI, like I'm no longer just a T-shaped person or an M-shaped person. I'm a comb-shaped person, and let's go. Like, and we can do it all together. So it's like this matrix of amazing skills, so abundance.
I'm super excited for Research Ops because I think in this moment we have such an opportunity to upskill ourselves, right? And something I tell my team all the time is like, we're all talking about like, you start to code and you start to build and suddenly you're like, am I a UX engineer? And what I tell my team is like, the world has enough engineers, okay? But what will really set you apart as you think about the future and the rest of your career is you hold on to those core skills that allow you to do operations. And those aren't a set of skills that everyone is born with. Right? There are unique people, as we all know, who can do that, and unique people who can enjoy doing that. But when you layer your technical skills on top of those skills, now you're talking about a unique positioning. Right? Now you're talking about something that is setting you apart from the rest. So, we're at a time now where I think all of us have lived through, like, maybe our teams won't look the same. Maybe we're threatened by layoffs. Maybe we don't know how things are going to change, right? But I think if we take advantage of that and think of it as an upskilling, when we do hit the market and when we do have to go out or we're looking for our next thing or we're just evolving in our career, I think that it is such an exciting thing because it didn't feel like that was an opportunity for us. Right, operations was kind of a set of things that you do, but now it's like, wow, you layer that on top of your communication skills, your strategy, your relationship building, your ability to see, bring order to chaos. Like now you're talking about something very unique. So that's what I'm excited about.
All right. Well, maybe we could share what we're most excited about as well.
Should I dive in?
Yeah.
I've got thoughts, as always.
Yeah.
I was thinking, as you were all speaking, that when I first got into tech, it was in 2004, and there were no rules. There was a sense of building and making, and you couldn't go to university to study anything. And so I remember years later in 2013, when it was like real peak, kind of everybody with like snacks, like everywhere, big offices, like flights, just like money everywhere. And I remember thinking, wow, this is the best industry to be in. And it was on a wave. I didn't realize it was on a wave. I thought I was on a wave. But there was the sense of energy about it and invention, and there wasn't a lot of ego because no one knew anything. We were all trailblazing and we were all honest that we were all making it up. I started in content strategy, but content strategy had only been invented like a year before. So no one was pretending that they knew what it was. And I think that we're back at that place now with AI. And I think if we can let go of the need to feel like we need to know what we're doing, and we can be very honest, as we've all been today in conversation and up here, that we are figuring it out, we can have a lot of fun trying to figure it out together instead of trying to silo off and go, I'm going to pretend I know what the word eval means. Very few people do. I say eval. I've worked with writers who have written stuff I've published about evals, and I'm still sitting here going, if I had to do an eval tomorrow, I'd be pretty stuck. Maybe I'd call up Romana for vendor evals. But I think we just got to get really honest about the fact that we're figuring it out, and it's going to be a really interesting, creative ride. My last point is, right at the start of the day, we started off just talking about change. And change does provoke anxiety, depending on who you are, or excitement. The nervous system tends to read excitement and anxiety as the same thing. So it's very normal to feel this up and down. Plus, we've got economic changes and geopolitical changes and a lot of change going on. And it's about finding out, like, where are the opportunities in your world right now that are going to produce the most value for you, for your team, for your organization. Because AI gives so much abundance of opportunity that the trick is to be strategic. I'm not actually doing this, and I hadn't planned this. And to step back and figure out, okay, so of this abundance of things I could do, and I could burn myself out on and become more anxious and more unsure of what I'm doing, can I step back and make my mind up on like 3 key things, or even 1 key thing? I'm going to do that coach thing that Michelle spoke about and figure that out, because that's really interesting, and that's where I see the biggest impact in my organization. If we can all get that right and then share that one amazing thing you've managed to do so someone else doesn't have to do all the work you've done to figure it out, as a community, we could do really amazing things, and in a year's time, our story is going to be very different from I just sat here sweating it out, figuring out how to evaluate this crazy AI. So that's my wish, I guess, for what we see in the future.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Grab it by the horns.
Bring us home.
Yeah. Well, after that. No, I think it really is. Now is the time. Now is the time to lean into all of this, just like you all have been this entire day, and be eyes wide open, and take that fear with a grain of salt, take the excitement with a grain of salt. It's all just part of the equation of this massive amount of change that's happening right now. And it's just a really exciting moment to all be building and creating and sharing with each other. So I'm just super glad that you all came here today, and to all of our speakers and our wonderful co-host Kate here for the opportunity to come and just have a full day on research ops. How often do you get to do that? Probably not too often. So, well, I guess every day of your lives, but with others. So just thank you.
Thank you.